Good evening. Oh, I know you guys can do better than that. Good evening. Oh, that's right. I like that. I had to tell my girlfriends. They say there are no black men in this city. I'm telling you, they're right here tonight. Yes, sir. My name is Commissioner Loretta Smith. I am the newest elected Multnomah County Commissioner for District 2. Thank you. And what I want to say here tonight is we're here tonight because it's about civic engagement. This is your county commission. I know some of you may come in this building, you may go to the 4th floor, but the 1st floor is where it's at. It's where we make policies, where we spend dollars, where we determine what happens in Multnomah County. I want to welcome all of you here tonight. I want to thank everyone for coming out and being willing to have a courageous, honest conversation. You are the next generation of leaders in our community, and I appreciate you taking your time. I want you all to make sure you please enjoy the food that's here this evening. Fred Meyer and Safeway, they thought it was really important that we had refreshments, and they provided the refreshments for this evening. Let's give them a round of applause. Before being elected as your Multnomah County Commissioner for District 2 a few months ago, I was an assistant to U.S. Senator Ron Wyden. Every year, Senator Wyden had a town hall meeting. He had a town hall meeting in every county in Oregon, 36 counties. These town hall meetings give him the chance to talk to people and the chance to get a sense of what their concerns are. And that's how I grew up in public policy. That is why you're here tonight. I need your help. The Multnomah County Commission needs your help. And our community, we need your help. Here at Multnomah County, we're responsible for appropriating dollars to various county departments that impact you directly. Whether it is Sun School programs with Head Start before school or after school programming, the juvenile justice system, healthcare services, you name it, the libraries, that's what we do here at Multnomah County. We are the provider of many of these services, and many of these services we contract out. Like every government, we are in the process of prioritizing our budgets and our policies. I am here to ask you what you think you need to succeed in this community. What assistance does our community need to provide for you? What can we do collectively as a community to help you? You are our next wave of leaders in this community. I stand before you tonight as only the second African American elected to the Multnomah County Commission. The first in 20 years. When it's time for me to go, I don't want it to be another 20 years. I want it to be one of you standing here instead of me. The Multnomah County Child Welfare Work Group program reports that while African American children make up less than 11% of the young people in Multnomah County, they represent 22% of the children in foster care. African American students are twice as likely to drop out of school as white students, according to the Coalition of Communities report. The Coalition of Communities of Color report also says that poverty rates for African Americans in Multnomah County are significantly worse than our white neighbors. 1 in 3 African Americans live in poverty in this county, while only 1 in 8 whites are similarly poor. While the economy is getting better, the economic recovery has not been so even. From last month, the Labor Department reports, while the overall unemployment hovers around 9%, the rate for all those between the ages of 16 and 19 is 25%, and it gets better. While the number for African American youth was over 40%. Having said that, I recognize that there are many others in our community that are struggling as well. And I look forward in the coming months and days and weeks to get their input too. Every voice must be heard. As startling as those facts are, maybe I think in my mind that there is hope. Seeing all of you here today brings me great hope. Hope that by coming together with family, mentors, and others in this community that care for you, you can have the same opportunity that I and others on this panel have been given. I've spent my entire adult life in Northeast Portland, and my family has been here even longer than that. My grandfather came here from Brooklyn, New York in 1942 to work in the shipyards. When I was at Oregon State University, I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college and to graduate. I came to Portland and raised a son in the Woodlawn neighborhood as a single mother. Things weren't easy, but I had many people there for me, from my family to the church to community organization. My son is now well on his way to graduating from college, and I am thankful for that. When I look out into the audience, I see my son. I see his friends. I see nephews and cousins and uncles and adopted uncles and cousins. And I see a community that has the same dreams and aspirations that my grandfather had when he took a risk to come to Oregon over 50 years ago. I believe tonight's forum will move us closer to understanding what your dreams and aspirations are for the future. I won't talk any further, but I want to introduce a man who has been very instrumental in helping me put together tonight's program, and that's Chair Jeff Cogan. I want to introduce the chair of the Multnomah County Commission, Jeff Cogan. He's a tireless advocate for our community. He is someone that works every day for the service for our community, for our community's most vulnerable. And he has also been unwavering in terms of diversity and inclusion here at the county. I am proud to stand with him tonight to hear what you have to say. And here is Chair Jeff Cogan.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith. But thanks to you, all of you, for being here tonight. It's Wednesday night. There's a lot of things you could be doing. And you chose to come here and share with us and be part of this conversation, which is really important. I just want to acknowledge that there's a lot of things that might have been more fun than coming to the Multnomah County building on a Wednesday night. But this is an important night, and I really appreciate all of you taking time out of your lives to join us. Now, here at Multnomah County, we are committed to making this community what we all want it to be, a place where everyone who lives here has the same opportunities, and a place where everyone who lives here can thrive. But we have to start by speaking the truth, which is that it's not that way today. And this government is committed to trying to make it better. We have a lot of resources, not as much as we used to, not as much as we need, but we have a lot of resources that we invest in this community. We spend a lot of money trying to help young people thrive and be successful. And unfortunately, we spend even more money when young people aren't successful and they're in the criminal justice system. And I know that Commissioner Smith and everyone on my board and myself would rather spend the money helping you be successful in the first place. And one thing that is really crystal clear is that in order to do a good job of that, we need to know from you what matters. And so when Commissioner Smith shared with me the idea of having this conversation tonight, I knew it was a good one. And I think when I see how many people came tonight, it's really clear to me that it's touched a nerve, that this is an important conversation that we need to have. Now, we're really working hard on trying to address some of the challenges we have in this community. We know, anyone who's here knows this is the case, but last year there was some important research that was done that showed it was the case that in Multnomah County today, there's tremendous inequality. And a lot of that is the result of just the legacy of racism. And we have to really be open and honest about that if we're going to get beyond it. And that's what this is a part of this, that's what this conversation is about. But it's also the case, I look around this room right now, and I see a lot of familiar faces, and that's great. But I also see a lot of faces that I haven't seen before, and that's even better. Because frankly, there's a lot of people, a lot of you here tonight, haven't been part of this conversation before. And I get why you haven't been. Probably often seems like government doesn't care, that we don't really listen to you. And a lot of times we haven't in the past. And so I think what's important is that we use tonight as a step forward and move beyond distrust and have a space of trust. And we want to listen to what you say, and we want to try to value what you say. We want to begin to move forward together to make this the community that it ought to be, and that we can't make it unless we're all in it together. So thanks a lot for coming out tonight. Now I'll turn it back to Commissioner Smith.
Thank you, Chair Cogan. I want to introduce a moderator that we're going to have today, and that's Mr. Tim Logan.
Again, welcome to everyone here. Thank you for coming out. Now we'll go on with the program. It's very important that you come up and voice your opinion, okay? There's a microphone here. I think there may be a roving microphone as well. So if you feel compelled, please do come up and speak. If you don't, however, we'll be passing out 3x5 cards that you can write your questions on or your comments on, and we'll read those aloud as well, okay? Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists for this evening. From Portland State University, we have Dr. Harold Briggs. From Lewis and Clark University, we have Dr. Andre Brown. And visiting our city, doing some work on the show Leverage, is Alice Hodge. I'd like to have them introduce themselves. Oh, I'm sorry.
Dr. Damon Glenn, George Washington University.
Apologize. Ground rules for coming up to the mic and expressing yourself. Number one, please be respectful, okay? Don't interrupt other speakers and focus on the issues and withhold your personal attacks. Second, express yourself completely, honestly, and concisely. Speak from the heart and to your experience. Limit your thoughts to a couple of minutes so everyone has a chance to speak. And last, comments and questions, line up behind the microphone here, if you feel so compelled. State your name before speaking or asking questions or making a comment. If you're uncomfortable speaking again from the microphone, 3x5 cards will be available for you to write your comment on, okay?
My name is Hassan Moore, and I'm just gonna, what I think that the community needs for us to, stay positive is just a place for us to, just feel safe without, tripping about Bloods and Crips and what hood you from, what hood you claim, for us just to feel safe. My dad has an organization called Young Men of Awareness, Young Mind of Awareness, and it's getting the young kids off the streets and just making them feel comfortable where they are, whether who's all over there, but who's all there. So
Do you feel comfortable at school, at church? Where is your comfort zone at a community organization?
I feel safe pretty much anywhere, because I don't gangbang myself, but I'm saying the people I hang out with, they all do. So I'm just as much a target as they is, because I'm hanging out with them and I'm setting myself as, that's my homeboy. So they're going to assume, hey, he hang out with him. So I'm going to think that he's you know? So
Right. And so you have to figure out how to make some separation
Yeah.
between that. Who's your dad?
Archie Moore.
Okay, great. I know Archie. I met him last night. Yes, at the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you. Thank you for your remarks.
I'm Grant Howard, and to answer your question, I believe like one way for us to be better is more like dedication in schools, and not just like dedication to teachers, but also for other students to work together. Because like the person behind me says, there's Bloods, Crips, everybody going against each other, and like in my opinion, one of the main problems is like even now in the Black community, people go against each other when they shouldn't, because there's also other races going against us. We should be actually helping each other instead of going against each other.
You're absolutely right.
And also, like with teachers, sometimes with students get frustrated because the teacher doesn't take his or her time to help out a student who doesn't understand what that person is doing. Because in my opinion, I'm taking AP Calculus at Grant High School, and half the time I don't get what I'm doing, but I still somewhat manage to pass because my friends take their time to help me out. So for me, for not just me, but also every other person in this room, even for the adults, because adults help us to be the future, like you said, people, any race, doesn't matter, has to take their time out for us to understand, because we all work at our own speed. We can't just go 30 miles and say, oh, I get that, when we don't. Because otherwise we'll just be lying to ourselves and try to figure out something when we don't. That's when we all flunk on a test.
So what you're saying is we need to know how to speak up. If we don't know something, we need to tell the teacher, have an after-school program, help us with the tutoring, because it's not like you can't learn it, because it's doable, because you're doing it.
Yes, but it's also for the teachers to pick up on science, because sometimes when a student tries to figure something out, it's up to that teacher to ask that student, is he or she know what he's doing? Because usually teachers say, do you get what you're doing? And they just understand, yes, I get it. Like a simple yes to a teacher's like, okay, I can finally go. When really the teachers need to be more communicative with that student, so that way if a student says yes, the teacher should take more of his time out with to help that student. Because sometimes a simple yes could be really a maybe.
Now,
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
a lot of times we invite us into the room, and then we create barriers for us to not be invited into the room. So for example, like, you know, one of the things that always gets me, and especially like old people, and somebody told me I was an old person now, which I really am resisting, is the sense that, you know, what we wear really has little to do with who we are, right? So wearing a 7X t-shirt doesn't necessarily describe my character, right? But at the same time, as the brother here was saying, that wearing a 7X t-shirt may bring on some things to you from outside forces that you may not want. Like, for example, police involvement, people riding by thinking you're involved in something. So there's a sense that as we even move this discussion forward, we want to make sure that all the 7X brothers that's in, how many here people got 7Xs? You do, because, all right. So if that's you and that's your thing, we want to figure out how do we help you do your thing better? Because there's a lot of different ways and different avenues for us to be involved and invested. And so that's something I just thought about as we were going, is that we want to make sure that we create getting those small pockets for everybody to be invested and involved in. And also the piece, with one thing I heard you say about the women, was just that one of the things I'm thinking about is how violence, not only violence in the community, you know, we talked about gang banging, but the violence in our own homes is impacting us. And where a lot of people in this room may still be dealing with trauma and violence that have happened to us, and how that may be playing itself out in different ways in the community.
How do you think we can help that out from a county standpoint or from a community standpoint?
I think one of the things with violence in particular,
Yes.
I think we need to create more opportunities for men in particular to talk about how violence impacts us, and as far as healing from it, and also how we need to be held more accountable for the violence that we do, that we commit towards other people. And I think also one of the things that we need to do is provide more easier access to mental health care, where a lot of people in here, I know I've been in situations where I wanted help from a professional, and it's either a person that I didn't feel could relate to me, or it wasn't an easy pathway to get in there. And so that's one of the things that if we can have more opportunities to provide mental health with people that are able to deal with the particular needs of the members that are coming, then that may be one way to move that forward.
Thank you. Dr. Briggs, could you kind of add to this in terms of what we can do to be helpful?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to take the other route. I want to go back to the structural stuff and something that the young man brought up around the teacher and AP Calculus. One of the things that you must know that is happening in the 21st century, we have moved from a service economy to a knowledge economy. We have got to make sure that the teacher's expectations are not low. If you are in calculus, you have to command from the teacher the respect and the request that they do the job that they're paid to do to teach you. It's important. I want to tell you something, as a social work educator and researcher, what has failed communities that are at risk of incarceration and a great deal of threats that comprise inequities is that we don't have the skills for success embedded in the educational systems and in all of the spheres of life that we frequent. For example, our community centers, we asked the young man if, what do you do after school? There's nowhere to go here. There's nothing for you. So structurally, people are actually acting out certain scenarios because they're bored. So structurally speaking, we have to really go back to what happened to form these communities and the racism that grew out of keeping certain neighborhoods outside of a policy that provided equity and economic benefits. And what we did was we simply said, let these people fend for themselves. This grew out of a Jim Crow legislation that has accumulated and has been allowed to grow. And public service agencies, I'm talking about the counties and the cities, are the ones who continue to use these old approaches to setting policies. For example, a public health approach is not used, but a public safety approach is always used. Let's get guns off the street, but what about the conditions that created the need for the guns in the first place?
What assistance does your community provide you in order for you to be successful?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to insert myself here. I want to talk to a youth. So I'm going to have him jump you for just a second, and you'll be next. Come on up, sir.
Okay, so my name is Giovanni McKenzie. I go to Grant High School, and I've basically been living in this country for a year. And I can tell this county gives me a lot, I've been through some rough time coming to this country, and I've went to the school health-based center because I live with my grandparents. My mother basically fled back to the country, leaving me alone.
What country are you from?
I'm from Jamaica.
Okay.
And I go to Grant's school-based health center, and that's basically where I get all my medical care from. I met some really cool people there, some people that actually care. Because my grandparents, they don't really work anything. My grandmother is like a janitor at Providence Hospital, and my grandpa is a janitor at PDX Airport. One person, they're actually here, and I have to say, Nicole McKinney, she's right at the back. She's so helpful to me right now. She helped me get eye care. She helped me, with medical care, dental care. Things that my grandparents can't afford to give to me right now, I'm getting it from the help of the county,
So do you think that a lot of youth, they don't know that they can get health care services at the county school-based health clinics? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, because from what I know, the school health-based centers are just seen as the place where people deal with like STDs or pregnancy and stuff like that. And for me, I've got much more help from these school-based health centers than those services. And from what I'm hearing is that things like these are being, the finance to actually run these places are being cut. And right now, these people are actually working more harder than they should. For example, I have someone who helped me with mental care, and she's telling me that the pay that she's supposed to be getting is being cut. And now she have to be working more harder than she should. Why not actually have these people there full time instead of have to be running across the county doing much more than they actually need to do?
Thank you. So what I'm hearing you say, we need to do a better job of advertising what kind of services our school-based health clinics that are paid for by Multnomah County, we need to do a better job to let folks know this is just not the STD center, because we're much more than that.
I'm Jesse Jones. I'm one of the youth that go to the At Promise mentorship program, and I'm just basically saying how good of a program it actually is. They have mentors, they have people who volunteer to go there. They come out of their own time to come and see us. You know, they don't have to do it, but they do because they know how good of people that we are, how good youth that we are, and they come out of their own time and they basically, just father us, just be schooling us on like what we need to be doing, how we need to like succeed, to go through like stuff that they basically been through. They know that because like they've been there before. So it's like, I don't know, it's hard to kind of say this right now because I've never been through this.
You're very articulate.
Yeah, so
So you want this program to stay around? This is a county-funded program?
It's a county-funded program as well.
Growing up was a very tumultuous ride because my father, he at a time was selling drugs and at a time became a drug addict and an alcoholic. My mother, she handled all of that on her own. It was my brother and I. We were homeless 3 times.
Can I ask everyone to be quiet? Just cool it down just a little. Thank you.
But yeah, my family, we'd been homeless quite a few times. Moved to Jersey. Jersey was not the best city in the world. I don't know who's been to Jersey, Clifton, Trenton, Hackensack. Y'all know. So I didn't. You say what? Patterson. I know Patterson a little too well. But the thing is, single mother raising 2 young men without any male guidance in the basically the armpit of the country. What was carved as our natural path was go do what you see. Go be a drug dealer. Go be a gangster. Go be something. Go fight and use your anger to harm your home. My mother said there's no excuse for failure. There's no excuse for not getting your education because education is all that you have and it's something that nobody can ever take from you. So that's something, even in summertime when we were on summer break, we were sitting there hitting the books. What the school wasn't able to give us, she was able to give us. So my mother actually was the stone rock that we all had. And I know not everybody has their mother or their father, but somebody, even if you see somebody, just reach out to them a little bit. Reach out to them. I remember when we moved to California for the first time, our neighbor, Asian guy in his mid-30s, saw me and my brother growing up without a father. He came and knocked on our door. Now, my mom, she don't touch her kids. She's not that woman. You come tell her something about her kids, she's going to tell you about yourself. But he said, I want to take and teach these boys some basketball because I see they don't have a father. I don't see them out playing. They need a male guide in their life. She said, excuse me? They need what? But she allowed him to be that male presence in our lives, and thank God for him. I still regard him as my brother to this day. I can't play basketball well worth a crap, but we had that male, that sense of guidance there. And you know what? The world taught me how to be a man. I learned from my father's absence and from my father's mistakes how not to be. And I learned from a woman most of what it was to be a man. Never hit a woman. Never cuss at a woman. Never call a woman out her name. God, no. But I learned from and internalized other people's mistakes because that's all I had. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything in my way to say, look, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Let me try to redeem myself. That's what I learned, how to say sorry from the person who didn't. I learned how to take responsibility for myself from the man who didn't. And I think to succeed as a culture or just individually, you definitely need to have a sense of self. You need to be able to take self-responsibility and say, this is what I'm doing, this is where I want to go, because people always say you're a product of your environment. I believe that your environment can be a product of you, because you choose what reality you want. And it's not necessarily where you are today. It's about where you want to be tomorrow or next year or the year after. So you work and you do what you have to do right now. And it may suck. Like I said, we were homeless. There were times where top ramen and poking beans and rice was the only option. Now, I mean, yeah. You know what I'm saying? You know, if I want me a waffle, I'm going to go get me a waffle. You know, if I want some tricks or something, you know, if I want top ramen, I eat it because I want to, not because I have to. And that's the beautiful thing, because you have to work as hard as you can within your reality to create the one that you want for yourself, because everybody has the ability and the capability to do so. And what's missing a lot with our youth is that nobody tells them this. Nobody tells the kids that, look, you can go be absolutely anything you want to be, and that's not just a crock pot. It's not me blowing smoke. It's absolutely true. You just have to do the work. You have to be willing to sacrifice a little bit, but you also have to be willing to sit back, look at yourself, take responsibility for yourself, and say, look, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, and the environment around me, no matter how volatile or bad it is, does not have to be a part of who you are. Learn from the mistakes to be better than that, and to help help your reality and the reality of those that are coming up around you.
What's your name?
Zachary.
Talk to me, Zachary.
I think that especially because I'm from North Portland, that there are a lot of small businesses within the city. I think the community should take time to invest in, especially high school students, to work within the small businesses in the summer. And a lot of them don't do that. And I know there's a lot of restaurants and, you know, small factories around.
Okay.
My name is Jordan Yule. I'm a sophomore at Benson. And I'm one of the lucky few that was able to grow up, and am still growing up. My mother and my father, so, you know, I don't, you know, thank you. And I don't, I'm hearing about all these groups I never heard of that are helping these the students and kids my age that aren't lucky to have their parents, their father and their mother. So, you know, they're missing out on some of those things that can help from a father, contribute from a mother. I'm just curious, why isn't the county help funding to keep them going? Why aren't we keeping them, help us keep us kids off the streets and out of gangs? If these programs are helping, I would want to keep them alive, keep them going. I'm curious, why wouldn't you guys want to help them?
That's what I'm going to find out. Thank you.
I got Brian right here. Brian, get ready to say something.
My name is Brian. I'm a junior at Benson. I'm 17. What I think the community needs is to see more people that look like us making money, more role models, and more people to just look up to. Cause if you look around, you don't see many people that look like me making a lot of money. You see drug dealers and stuff, and people gangbanging and stuff. So I mean, I just need to see more people successful that look like me. Yeah.
Okay, so what I think I heard you say was you need to see more men who are successful mentoring young men. Okay.
My name is Delonce Davis. I'm a sophomore at Park Rose High School. And what I think we need more in the community is just just to have more opportunities to get jobs for young high school students, because, during the summer, we like to hang out and, have fun. I think if we just get, more jobs and get us all working, we'd be more busy during the summer, and there won't be that many problems with high school students.
Hello, my name is Roy Washington. I work for Multnomah County. And what I have to describe what our kids, our community need, I have to look back in the day. Because back in the day, I know there's a lot of people here that remember New Careers, Project 75. These were jobs that was created by the county, by the city, and they And once they started, creating jobs for these kids, like this young lady said, they start pulling the money back. It was MyCap, Minority Youth Concern Program, where the community had got together. I know some of you remember MyCap. So people in the community got together and they went outside the community to talk with employers, and they got employers to commit to work with these kids. But we had to go out there and train employers because they figured they were getting a bunch of gangbangers. But what we did, we created mock interviews for these kids and showed them what they look like when they interviewed, showed them how to do resumes. So if we get together and be able to teach these kids, when we get together and be able to hold on to jobs, not just for 3 months, but for a new career, something that they could develop and have for the rest of their life, or bring out skills that they have but they don't know that they have. So I think we need to put together things that's going to really make our kids stand up and let them know that just because you have a felon, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to work again. That doesn't mean that you got to get out and sell drugs to get what you need. And I'll tell you, if our kids don't get jobs, they go get money somehow. So it's very important and to our best interest in our community that we do provide jobs for these kids.
I'm Wes Guy. I'm a senior at Central Catholic High School, and a lot of what I'm seeing from like some of my classmates and friends is most of us are caught living in like the now. Like we'd rather just kick it, smoke, chill, rather than like focus on the future. Like you can't just chill and kick it your whole life. Pretty soon you're gonna have to do some work. And
so when you say you want to chill and kick it, how do you chill and kick it?
Xbox, Black Ops, I don't know, 2K, I don't know. Just chill, kick it, eat.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other than like a lot of people, like some of my friends at Grant, like skip school to go smoke and like kick it and stuff. Like you gotta think about your future and stuff. Like when you're doing all this stuff and like cutting class, like pretty soon your grades start slipping, and like you just skip one class a week, it turns into like 2 or 3, and before you know it, you're like just super behind. And like I had to go take some night school, but I was seeing like people there like every day. Like why would you want to? You already have regular school. Why do you want to be in night school like 5 days a week? So.
Thank you.
Commissioner, can I say something just very, very quickly? And earlier in the conversation,
stand up, Doctor?
Yeah, earlier in the conversation, I talked about how I'm representing kind of the perspective from higher education, college. I want to say a couple things. One of the things that I always find kind of fascinating in conversations about bringing services or bringing help to black people in particular is everybody's kind of looking for a silver bullet answer. If we just do this, then our problems will be solved. Or if we just do that, our problems will be solved. And let me tell you something, the problems that are plaguing our community, they're complex. And it's going to take a lot of different answers to solve our problems. And I think that's number one. And then two is it gets kind of structured into a kind of policy question. Like how can we allocate funds for this? How can we allocate funds for that? And the reality of it is this, it's a psychic problem first. If you don't believe in the potential of these young people, all the policy in the world is not going to help them, because that's going to influence how you deliver policy. So I think first, psychically, you have to actually believe in young black people. The truth of the matter is, when I look up here at these young people, I believe in them. From my heart and from my soul. And I know this brother, with the right support, could be anything that he wants to be, period. And what's interesting is working in private colleges and doing all this kind of stuff with predominantly white demographics, there's a fallacy out there that I had when I was in Northeast Portland growing up. I actually thought they were smarter than me. And then once you actually interface with them on a daily basis, you're smarter than them. You know what I mean? Or at least competing at the same level if you got the same support. So let me just say this. I got to be a professor and give you some statistics really quickly. So bear with me for 30 seconds. If you look at the data on college attendance out of all the racial and ethnic groups in America, and you delineate it by gender, black males, actually by percentage, they have the lowest college attendance rates out of all racial and ethnic groups. They're at 35%. Let me put that into something where you can follow. If you look at all black students who attend college in America, it's about 11%, okay? And if you look at that 11%, only about 4% are black males. Okay, so now the numbers are getting low. But if you just isolate that 4%, stay with me. Where's my AP calculus guy that was from Grant? Yeah, somebody follow me. If you isolate that 4% and look at the 4% of black males who graduate from college, who attend college, only 32% of that 4% are actually graduating from college. That is the lowest graduation rate among all racial ethnic groups in America. So what I want to say today is, it's not just enough to graduate black folks from high school and get them into college. And there's a new 2010 report from the Schott Foundation that said only 47% of black males are even graduating from high school. So it's going to impact that 35% that even attend. Okay, now here is something else. Once they get there, the problems really begin, because it's hard to keep black males there, to get them there, to keep them there, and to graduate them. And not just to graduate them, make them have a successful experience, and then when they get out, they can transform the world and make it a better place. So lastly, and I said 30 seconds, but I'm like a Baptist preacher, and 3 times. But here's the thing. I'll say this. The reality of it is this. We talk a lot about education, and I'm an education critic. We have to ask ourselves, are the students like this young brother going to school to get an education, or is he going to school to get schooled? And I think they're going to school to get schooled and not get an education. Schooling, I'm not a ball player myself, but I tell you this, when I did play ball and somebody said, yo, I just schooled you, that wasn't a good thing. I mean, they took advantage of me. But education is what these brothers need. That's emancipatory, that's liberatory, and to connect it to the lived realities of their everyday circumstances is what we need.
I have a question for the guys at PSU. Is going to college a lot better than you thought it would be in high school? Just like nod your head or wave your hand and just, all right. So one say to the young kids, going to college is actually a lot better than high school. And I'm saying this because once you go to college after high school, you better your knowledge, becoming a stronger person. And I like to quote my mom said, having knowledge is power, and what the world needs now is another strong black man. So the more knowledge we have, the better you can do for yourself. And so don't down yourself saying, I can't do this, because the more you down yourself, the more lazy you will be. And the more lazy, you'll just stay at home playing Black Ops and shooting zombies all day, which is something not worth doing.
Thank you.
My name is Sadat Souley. I go to Portland State. I'm 18 years of age. And I just wanted to say that, like, we have all these programs to help kids out and stuff, but the thing about all these programs is nobody knows about them. Like, I ain't never heard none of the name of these programs till today. So what I think we should do is invest more of our time in, like, making commercials, making bulletins, making all these papers so the kids would know, like, about these programs. Because only just these kids that don't have nothing at home know, then, like, that's about 20 in one high school. But if we would have put out commercials, you know, bulletins, all these things, most of these kids would get up and just go find help. But, like, if they don't know about the help, they're not going to get the help.
Looking at all of you coming out to try to help me do what I need to do as a county commissioner, as well as helping others who are in the room. So thank you for your comments, and thank you for doing what you do.
My first name is Kayan Jabbar, and my last name is
Jabbar.
Well, first of all, thank you for putting this together, and good evening to you and everyone else. I'm an event planner and speaker facilitator, and this is wonderful, you know, and really kind of is in sync with how my mind operates. So thank you for putting this together. But I got 2 questions. What is going to be measured from this meeting? And secondly, how are you going to measure the success and failure of what is measured?
Well, this is what we're trying to do with our survey. We're trying to figure out what are some of the issues. Did you look at the survey on the back?
I did.
And we're trying to identify areas in which students are interested in, what issues they're having problems with, whether it be housing, summer jobs, education, being hooked up with mentors, and those types of things. And you're making me jump the gun on my closing. But what I want to do is I want to figure out some ways in which we can be helpful based on the information that we've gathered here tonight, and we have videotaped this. And I'm going to go over this information and figure out some areas where we can create policies and direct funding to meet some of those needs. One of the things that I heard loud and clear tonight was that there needs to be some kind of avenue for summer jobs. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that Tiffany Pinson is sitting over here in the corner, who has summer job applications. If you're interested between the ages of 16 and 21, go sign up with Tiffany. If you have not signed up in our sign-in sheet, please make sure that you do, because I will be following up with you in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to send out a letter and let you all know what we're going to be able to do from the county commission standpoint, because we are in budget cycle right now. And like I said, I don't have a silver bullet, but I do hear some of the concerns loud and clear, which is we need more programs, we need more mentors, we need to maintain certain programs. I heard those loud and clear. And one of the things that I heard from Roy was that we need to do what we've done in years past. We need to support our youth in the summers. We need to make sure that they have things to do. I heard that from a lot of the youth here. We need activities.
And how
we need places to go. Well, this is the deal. It looks like it was about 200 folks here tonight. I have to look at the data and see what it is that people want, and then I'll be able to figure out how I can help in my small way. I won't be able to do everything, but I'm going to pick out a few areas that I'm going to be able to be helpful and move along. I can't tell you what those things are going to be, but we will follow up with you. There will be some follow-up. There will be some actions that I'm going to take within the next couple of weeks to make sure that we address some of these problems that we heard this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions. And thank you for preempting me for my closing remarks. I want to thank Dr. Briggs for all the work that he's done. I want to make sure that you know that I know you spent a lot of tireless nights trying to pull together information and making sure that we had all the stats that we needed to have. So thank you, Dr. Briggs. Your insight has been great. I also want to thank Chair Cogan for being courageous enough to join me here tonight to talk about issues that we rarely talk about with African American young men. And you all should give yourselves a hand, because let me tell you, this is historical. This has never happened. I've never seen, this is my seat, y'all, right here. I sit right here. They took my name tag down, and I don't see any of you in the room on Thursday, so I'm excited to go to board briefing tomorrow morning. I can't wait to go, because I want to tell about what I saw here tonight. It's great. It's wonderful. I want to thank you, Aldis, for coming out and making the time in your busy shooting schedule to impart some knowledge to our youth. I think it was well taken. We will be watching you in June on TNT, right? Did I embarrass you? Yeah, so we'll see you on Leverage. Thank you very much. And you know what, Dr. Brown, thank you so much. I mean, you stood up and you jumped into this, and you gave us some information that we needed to have, and we need to have it come from you. And so I appreciate what you're doing. If you need anything from us here at Multnomah County, don't hesitate to call. And Professor Damon, thank you so much for what you do. You wrapped it up and you put a bow on it, and you made sure we know where all this comes from. And I appreciate your work. I appreciate each and every one of you for spending your time, because I feel like crying. I tell you, I'm trying to hold it in. But as we wrap up, I want to make sure that everyone who brought kids here tonight, and I just want to acknowledge them, and quickly, and I'll close it. We have POIC here, we have SEI, We have the Boys and Girls Club. We have PAL. We have the Black Parent Initiative. We have REAP. We have Highland Christian Center, the Urban League, Project Clean Slate. We have folks from Roosevelt, Grant, Jefferson, Madison. We were well represented tonight.
All right.
And as I told you earlier, there will be some follow-up. I have your names, your addresses, and your telephone numbers, and I just want to thank all of you for coming out. Thank you.